I'm George McLean, and I'm having a retrospective show here at the McMichael Gallery. I work primarily from my home in Grey County. Most of these paintings are based on the landscapes that the animals are painted into, are mostly Grey County oriented. My animals are fit into a landscape. Some of my paintings, as a matter of fact, are more about the landscape than they are about the animals. They're not really animal portraits in that sense. And they fit in very nicely, I think, to the McMichael theme, which of course was the Group of Seven and their contemporaries. I think the main difference between my work and the Group of Seven in terms of content is simply that I put animals in my pieces, and most of the stuff done by the Group of Seven was strictly landscape. There's a book that accompanies this show. It's called George McLean, The Living Landscape. There are 92 images in it. Some of them date back to when I was 26 years old. This is a retrospective show. Certainly that book is a retrospective book. All of the pictures in this exhibition are also in the book. I think that the book is valuable, certainly from my perspective, because it's a summing up of where I've been. It's also a summing up of the vast affection I've had and the great life I've had painting these animal pictures. One in particular that comes to mind is a black bear with her cubs. My thinking there was I wanted to paint a certain time of year which doesn't last long. It's that greening of the forest in the spring. The leaves are just starting to come out, and if it rains heavily for a day, the leaves come out to a point where you can't see through the forest anymore. There's another one of there's a pair of deer, a white-tailed buck and a doe, under a huge white pine. At one time, there were parts of Grey County that had enormous white pines. There's one of a gerfalcon killing a short-eared owl. I actually saw that happen. Ken Danby, the well-known Canadian painter, called me one day and wanted to know if I knew anybody that flew falcons. And of course I did. So we went to meet this fellow with the falcons, and he had this gerfalcon, which is the biggest of all the falcons. Very quick, very, very predatory. And as this fellow carried this hawk along on his wrist, a short-eared owl flew up. And after that, there was a chase. This gerfalcon chased the owl. The owl tried to get away from him, tried to get up into the clouds, got way up in the air. But the falcon got above the owl and dove down on it. And the owl, as the hawk came down, turned up on its back and met this falcon's stoop with his claws out. But the falcon drove him right down on the ground. The way my works evolve, it starts with the field work. I've walked thousands of miles in my life on snowshoes in the wintertime, and quite often the first thing I do is I make a series of drawings. Some of them, most of these drawings are done on paper that's fugitive, so that I don't keep them. They're done on tracing paper, so I throw them away. But the ones that I think ought to have a longer life for some reason, I make detailed drawings of them. Then I make a landscape, whatever landscape is appropriate to the animal. I make a little painting of the landscape and I set the animal in it. Once I'm satisfied that I've got a painting that deserves to live and be turned into something more finished, I have a photograph taken of it, and then I have one of these digitalized photographs made. And the photograph will be any size that I choose in terms of the finished art. So if the painting is going to be, say, 5 feet wide, I have the photograph made 5 feet wide, and however it works out vertically. Then I have a grid. I make a grid on the photograph. Then I make a grid on a white finished masonite panel that I've gessoed. That is, it's a white base that I place on the paint onto the panel. Then I make exactly the same grid as is on my photograph, so that you can. All I do is I take each square from my photograph, and I reproduce on my finished panel exactly what that little square tells me. It's just a way of simplifying a big problem and reducing it and making it a little section at a time. This retrospective show of mine is on from the 29th of January 2011, and it's on right until the last weekend in May. For anybody that's interested in animal paintings and landscape paintings in a gallery that has a tradition of particularly of landscape painting, this would be a good opportunity to come out here, and I hope you all will.